So, um, movie time. One film was a catch-up, one was a more recent release. The catch-up one was Elysium, and I heard it was ropey, so I wanted to see it. Blomkamp, brilliant for District 9, and since then seems to be not that clever. He seems to be able to write films very well. He's just released a Chappie, which I do not want to see because it looks terrible and it's been reviewed fairly poorly. But I decided I still want to see District 9 because of the look of it, and that's its redeeming feature is how it looks. The special effects and the design of characters and robotics in it is really good. So some of the actual visual effects are really, really good. So whoever the people involved in that, I had a little look and I can't remember names. You know, that was put together very well, and I enjoyed that a lot. The story though is it's got parts of it that are just awful. I mean, it's kind of like, just as District 9 was about segregation and apartheid and racism and so on, the sort of undertow of the aliens, the understory. This has got a thing about healthcare, and yeah, it's a good point, and yeah, there should be a sort of like a national health service around the world, I guess, and I should be protected. We can go on about that, but there's other things that are wrong with it, and his main protagonist that he has from District 9, he has back in this again as a bad guy. It's like a kind of a working for the government as a kind of like a hitman, so to speak, and his acting in it is just so over the top. It's appalling, and it's a pity because the character himself, if he just toned it down a little, it would have been a good character. But overall the film is just it's a bit of a mess. Good to look at, brilliant to look at, but to the story, you just go, nah, come on. People, like everyone, trying to get to this space station where the rest of Earth is, because that's where everyone can be cured of anything, and you're thinking, and there's like a machine that just kind of does this over the top of them and you're cured of your diseases like cancer or MS or something, and you're just like, come on. And then later on one of the characters gets his head blown off and you think that's him dead, but no, he gets put in the machine and his face gets reconstructed, and you're like, come on, I'm not having that. That's rubbish. Overall though, it's one of those films that I still enjoyed for the visual effects, and that was good, but for the story, nah. Worth seeing if you like good visual effects. I think that's all Blomkamp can do. I will be interested to see what he does with his Aliens reboot. He'll probably make that look good. The other film was John Wick, Keanu Reeves, and visually again that is really good, and the story isn't bad at all. It's a solid film, but there's a few problems with it. It's about him as a retired hitman coming back into the role after his car is stolen and his dog is killed. Now, there's a problem straight off the bat. The people who steal his car are Russian mobsters. You pretty much figure that out straight away. But they show interest in his car when he goes to get some groceries and stuff for his new puppy. After his wife dies, you have to make that clear, his wife dies, now he gets given this pup. She sent it before she died so that he'd have something to hold on to remember her by. And the mobsters see his car and they're like, oh, nice car, it's for sale. He goes, no. And then later that night, they find his house, beat him up, kill his dog, and take his car. And all you do is go, whoa, continuity time. How did they know where he lived? There's no connection between the meeting at the store, at the petrol station, whatever, and how they got to his house. There's none. So you just think, that's bullshit. They kill his puppy dog. And then that's when he loses it and he's like, right, I'm going to get these people now. And when you're watching it, you're thinking, yeah, okay, yeah. You're angry about your pup after your wife had died, And there's no explanation for why his wife dies. You assume it's something, you see a collapse and you assume it's something like a brain tumour or something. You just don't find out what that is. So all you kind of figure out later on is that he's been out the game for 5 years, I think it is. You don't even know if his wife knew what he did. None of this is made clear. And it made me think about other films afterwards where you've got connections with things, so therefore you make decisions based on those connections, or you as the viewer feels empathy towards the protagonist because of what's happened to their child, partner, pet. And I thought, this film doesn't do that properly. And you think, well, what film did they get that right? You know, if you want to watch a film about when a dog dies and you think, oh crap, that's horrible, go watch Turner and Hooch. It sounds stupid, but they showed you how to make a connection between an animal and an owner, for that owner to feel utter grief and for you to feel that grief too. In this film, the dog dies after a day, and you're like, it's a cute puppy, but it dies after a day, and you're like, he's gonna go on a hit all because this dog was killed by these Russian mobsters, and it was given to him by his wife, and his wife who we know nothing about either. And you're just thinking, you're not building characters, you're not building connections between the dog, the owner, the main protagonist and his wife. Those connections aren't there, so you don't necessarily understand why he has to kill somewhere in the region of 72 to 80 people in the film. I looked it up and that's about what it is. And the action is excellent, it really is. It's really well filmed. You can see Reeves, these are the people he's worked with before on Matrix, and you can see that, and the hand-to-hand stuff feels really authentic to see. You know, there's a lot of holds and rolls and grips and, you know, turning arms and stuff, and it looks really good. And the gunplay is excellent to look at. You just think, whoa, you didn't just go on this killing spree because of a pup you had a day. Just because your wife gave you it, who died of mysterious reasons. But he does. And Reeves himself, I don't dislike him. I think he's alright, I think he's fine, but I don't think he's a great actor. He never will be, but he seems to usually work within his own limits. He has the odd duffer. And he's perfectly reasonable because he keeps it very dry, very restrained. But there's one little bit right near the end where they've captured him, and he does this little sort of rant at the main mobster, and the main Russian gangster. He's a really good actor. I've never seen him before. You'd have to look it up. He's great. He's really good. I'd watch him in other things. I've never seen him before. But Keanu has this little rant at him, and he's tied to a chair sort of thing. And when he does it, I just thought, no matter how many times you do that little bit, little bit there, that little rant, your acting's awful. And if you want to see somebody who can do that properly, well, watch the way Mel Gibson freaks out in the Lethal Weapon films. And you might say that that's over the top, but he also looks believable. He looks like somebody who's actually losing it and going mad and like, I don't care what I do, I'm just going to get you, or I'm going to kill you, so I'm going to go off my cake. But Reeves hasn't got that. No, he's not. He's nowhere near that. It's a bit of a pity. It's a little bit jarring. If you sort of like looking at the film as a whole. But if you want to look at it from the set pieces and you want to look at it from the action, then that's great. That's wonderfully done. Or you can also look at the costume, and that's something nice. I picked up on these suits, really nice looking suits he wears in it. That's what you end up doing if you watch a film and you go, some things niggle with you. You end up going, oh wow, that was a nice suit he wore in the film. That's what I was like. Overall though, I would definitely recommend seeing it. But just look out for those little things. There's like little plot holes with the dog and that. And that was the other thing it made me think of when I was thinking of Turner and Hooch. Maybe then think, you know what? Who's a hitman who's like, you know, showing like he's got a struggle in life and he's got so much to deal with. And then that made me think of Tom Hanks again. And then that Road to Perdition. And there's a man who can act. And there's somebody who's showing you what happens to somebody who goes through these troubles of becoming a hitman and murdering people. What that must be like. Reeves, not so much. There is one really good stunt in it where he goes to bump off the Russians in a nightclub, and he gets into the fight with this main character, and this main sort of baddie Russian fellow picks him up and throws him over a balcony, and you see him land on the nightclub floor on his back, And I just thought, if you could get up from that, you're a better person than I've ever seen in my life. No matter how much of a WWF wrestler you are, the actual impact looks brilliant, but you just think you would not get up from that in about a week. the winding you take from that, Jesus. But yeah, worth seeing, and if you get a chance, or you've seen it, leave a comment and let me know. Okay, bye bye.